Are you bored of your final fights looking like this?
No, 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 no.
Do you want your final fights to look more like this? Well, you've come to the right place. What's up guys, it's Ashton here and welcome back to the channel. Now in today's video we're going to be doing something a little bit different for you guys, which is starting up a brand new series. This series is going to be called Apex Legends Console Coaching, and it's going to be a guide on tips and tricks that I give you based off of my own gameplay that we're going to be analysing in the video on how to become better players yourself. I'm going to be rewatching and analysing my own gameplay, telling you guys what I do right, what I do wrong, and giving you tips and hints here or there on how to get better as a player yourself, and hopefully you guys can take your game to the next level from these videos. Now before we get into the video, make sure you smash like and subscribe to the channel. The support recently has been absolutely incredible from you guys as always. In just over 2 weeks we've gained over 100 subscribers to the channel, which is brilliant growth, and I'm so happy that we're growing so fast. So make sure you continue to support the channel by subscribing, and more Apex Legends content will be coming your way. And without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Now in today's first episode of Apex Legends Console Coaching, I'm going to be talking a lot about decision making. Now this is an aspect of every good Apex Legends player. They have to make decisions on the fly very fast, and I think it's an underrated aspect of what makes good players rise above the other players. It's important to remember that every single decision you make, from gun choice, landing position, all the way into in-game split-second decisions you make, whether or not to shoot someone, whether to run right around a rock or left around a rock, jump over a rock, gain high ground or stay on the low ground, all of these decisions ultimately lead up to either winning a fight or losing a fight, and I'm going to be giving you a walkthrough on the decisions I make on the fly, which ultimately lead up to me winning the game with quite a few kills, and hopefully give you an insight into how I go about winning my games. So without further ado, let's start analysing the gameplay. So of course the first thing you're going to notice is that I dropped into Capital City. Now this is my preferred drop destination. This is of course all down to user discretion. Anyone has their favourite drop location, and Capital City is mine just because I know that's where I can get a lot of kills. Of course I gravitate straight towards the R99 and Peacekeeper because they are the strongest weapons in the game right now, like it or not, and they are how I like to play my games. I like to try and stay to a somewhat close range, and where the Peacekeeper is somewhat broken at the moment, you can kind of use it as a sniper anyway if you have a precision choke. So that is my weapon loadout of choice, and as you can see here, I'm just chilling in one of the 2 Predator nests, I like to call them. I heard someone on YouTube call them that at one point. And as you can see here, my teammate is getting instantly bombarded by a Gibraltar. I did hear him already at this point, so I stayed down below because I don't really want to be taking on a Gibraltar 1v1, especially in duos mode where he could even be with a teammate. But my teammate just jumps straight in and tries to take him on, gets melted, and I can see him getting killed here. And the first thing I'm thinking is that I don't really want to be taking on a Gibraltar on my own. So I try and get some high ground. He pops his dome here, which is a smart move. And while he first my teammate, I jump in with the Peacekeeper, with that first shot, but managed to hit the second, and luckily for me, he's unshielded. So I go straight for my banner of my teammate, and sometimes you've got to be harsh, sometimes you've got to look out for yourself first, and if you jump straight in to try and help your teammate in a situation like that, more often than not, you know, you're going to die. I knew what legend I was facing, and Gibraltar is an incredibly strong legend, so I just took my time and ensured I got the kill there. This is somewhat of a risky revive. I don't tend to like to use this revive station because loads of people are usually in Capital City and they will usually flock towards that revive beacon. So I get straight out of there. Usually I'll wait for my teammate to come in to make sure they're okay, but I really don't like that revive beacon, so the first thing I do is go to it and get straight back away from it because I don't want to be getting third partied from every single team in Capital City. As I move on out of the Predator nest, I hear some footsteps on my left in this building here, and my teammate is still looting, so I hold back a little bit. I'm quite keen to push it, I think. I hear an Octane, which is a legend I'm pretty comfortable pushing, but I saw through the window there that there was a Gibraltar, and of course that is when I know not to push. Usually I'll push in through that little gap in the roof there that I'm throwing grenades into, but as soon as I saw it was a Gibraltar, I knew that this wasn't a fight I wanted to push 1v1. And as you can see here, the Gibraltar saw me, so I'm just using the cover just to make sure I avoid his shots here and to hopefully break his shield. Managed to get some good damage on the Octane. And I'm really keen on playing the cover here because I know how strong Gibraltar is. And as soon as he goes down for my teammate, I know to push in. Even without communication, you've got to look out for signs that your teammates are pushing. And at that point, as soon as I saw him in there, I knew I had to jump in and help him out. I punched him here because he took the loot that I was looting, and luckily he's a nice guy, so he dropped me the mag. But just make sure you know the legends you're pushing. That's my first little bit of advice, and that was what was going through my head at that point regards to decision making. It was very important to not push the Gibraltar in a 1v1 scenario because he can have upwards of 300 health if he has a purple body shield with the 10% reduction and the 75 arm shield health, so that's not a fight you ever really want to take 1v1. And I can hear some shooting over here, so I make my way over here. Charge up that Peacekeeper because we all know how strong that can be right now. And I realised that they're down below, so I tried to look over the edge, but unfortunately for me he's already there. But as I know he's already there, I can just whip out my 99. I'm kind of ready for him. But where he took a little bit of my shields off, I wasn't sure if there were maybe two teams here, so I jumped back and pop a shield bat where I probably should have used some cells because I wasn't under any immediate danger. But I was quite keen to get back into the fighting here, so I did pop the battery. And where I'm not sure if there are two squads or one, I'm being a little bit cautious here, but I know I can hear him and he's down underneath, so I damage him a little bit and with the grapple swing over his head because that's the only cover he can use. And luckily for me, there was only one guy and I managed to grab that knockdown shield and it was pretty efficient. The next key decision I make in this game is to go round to the right into Train Yard. I never really like to push that tunnel because it's so easy to get sandwiched in that tunnel by two teams. And although there is of course the tower over here, which is quite a power position, I much prefer to come around this way as there is more cover and it's more open. And I just feel like you're more likely to get round this way and get through without getting sandwiched in that tunnel. You have more space to work in. And I can hear the fighting over there, which obviously there's always going to be teams over in Train Yard. So I start making my way over here, but as you can see in just a moment, the teammate starts getting shot from behind from the power tower. And at this point, I'm not entirely sandwiched by two teams, but I do have teams behind me and in front of me. So as you can see here, I'm just making sure that they're not pushing the gunshots. I saw the respawn, and I really don't like pushing teams on this tower. I feel like it's very, very hard to get them down. So I make the decision that we have to push the respawn instead. Although I know there's likely to be two teams over here, I much prefer my chances in Train Yard than trying to push that team on the power tower. So I make my move, I go to push the bird box, but I decide against it because I can see the fighting just down to my right here. I know that the fresh spawn is there, and unfortunately that enemy managed to kill him first. And as soon as I see the gold shield here, I know exactly what I have to do. I have to take this guy out of the fight as quickly as possible. Luckily for me, he goes for the heal. I managed to hit a big Peacekeeper shot here, and his teammate started burning me with the thermite grenade, and at this point, it's getting hectic. There is a team behind me pushing, and a team in front of me pushing, potentially even another team pushing in as well as that. So it's important to choose which team to fight. You can't switch between teams here. I finish off his teammate. And at that point, I thought maybe we only have a squad pushing us from behind. As you can see here, I'm dancing away from the bullets just until the grapple comes back. That was a bit of a risky position for me, so we're going to roll that one back and talk that through a little bit more. So as you can see, from the moment I killed that guy's teammate, I wasn't sure he was going to be there, and I'm very low, and I see I have 4 seconds left on my grapple. And running in a straight line away from gunshots is never a good idea, so I choose to turn around and face him and try and dance around some of the bullets, and luckily for me, the movement was enough to put him off, just for enough time for me to get my grapple back. You can call that luck, I call it a little bit of both, a little bit of luck and skill, because dancing and movement around bullets is such an important aspect to have into your game, and I'm going to be talking about movement in a separate video, but there's a little taste of what movement can do for you in certain situations. Now, my teammate here is caught right in between the two teams, and I really want to help him out, but he gets sniped. And I think that Wraith is going to be pushing him to finish him. He's not. So I decided to drop back here and try and dip out and let those two teams fight it out a little bit. I know there's a Bloodhound and a Wraith there, and potentially another team. So as you can see there, the Wraith gets finished by the Bloodhound. Maybe should have taken the shot a little bit earlier so I could get that kill myself, but I hesitated, and luckily I managed to get a 70 shot off of the Bloodhound to push him away a little bit. And I'm keen on trying to get my teammate here, so I drop back a little bit and get some high ground to try and evaluate the situation a little bit more. I don't want to be pushing and rushing into a team of 2, especially at this stage of the game where they are likely to have purple armor and gold armor. So I drop back and try and gain the high ground where it is a 1v2 situation, and the Wraith decides to push into my teammate who is reviving. I managed to get that gold armor off of him, take the blank off him again, and at that point I know I can just laser him down with a 99. Luckily his teammate here decides to push out into the open ground, so it's very easy for me to get some shots off into him, and by then my teammate has self-resed, manages to clutch up the kill for me, and we've just dealt with a very tricky situation by being smart and quick with our decision making and not too rash and pushing into fights that we can't win. And yeah, what a crazy few minutes there we managed to get through. But it's not quite over yet. There is actually another team up in the bird box which is about to start shooting at us any minute. And it was a bit naive of me to start looting when, of course, there was always likely to be more teams around. As soon as I see that bright sunlight from the bird box, I know that I have to get a different angle. So I'm panicking a little bit here. I don't want to get caught out by the zone. And stupidly, I run towards it. That was very bad awareness from me there, not knowing the zone's coming in from that direction. And of course, I see the other team ziplining in from inside the zone as well, so it's very important for me to get out of this position. I don't actually have any long-range guns, so I resort to using the Peacekeeper with a choke, which of course you can use as a sniper right now. So I managed to get a little bit of damage off of the guy up in the bird box. And this isn't something I would ever push either, because if you're going to be ziplining up to a bird box, more than likely they're just going to laser you down while you're on the zipline, even if you do the little technique where you jump on and off of it. So I can see that the care package is down here, and I want to see if it has a Kraber to try and help me get this guy down from the bird box, because it's a position that if you have the long range guns like he does, it can be very effective at picking people off, and they're not going to be able to push you. So I check out if it's a Kraber, and it's actually a Mastiff. And this was a quick decision, but I always like to take the Mastiff over the Peacekeeper, which is something that a lot of my friends don't necessarily like to do, but I'm a huge fan of the Mastiff and how much damage you can deal at close range. And as I talked about earlier, I am much more of a close range player than a long range player. So as you can see here, I was kind of hoping that this guy would push, and he did. Managed to laser him a little bit, and managed to get the final shot off with the Mastiff there. Wouldn't usually use the Mastiff at such a medium range, but of course it worked out in that situation, so it doesn't really matter. I know I only had to do a little bit of damage to him to down him. And at this point we know his teammate is going to push in because he's going to want the banner. So I gain a little bit of ground on him, try and close the distance on him because he's got a longer range gun. And I get third party to the side. Now, at this point, I was quite lucky that this guy decided to grapple over instead of just shooting me in the side, so I did ride my luck a little bit there and managed to finish him off with the Mastiff. And as this third party is just on this side over here, I decided to go under the bridge and try and finish them off. Luckily it was just one guy, and he didn't quite clock onto me. I could see that he was going to go for the gap on the left. So I grapple over to close the distance and finish him off quite nicely there. Yeah, it's always important to know your distance, know your range if you're a better long range player or close range player. Preferably, good players can do both, and I'm alright at the 301. Maybe not long range is not my range, but it's always important to try and improve with these things as well. So giving yourself games where you run maybe a sniper and an SMG, or a shotgun and a sniper. These things can only improve you. So if you go out of your way to use a sniper or a shotgun or whatever it is that you don't feel comfortable with, you're only going to improve. So don't be afraid of sacrificing a few games here or there just to make sure that you learn how to use long range, short range, medium range weapons a little bit better, and it can only make your game more well-rounded. Now, we're in the final 2 squads here, and luckily for me, they gave away their position. I did consider jumping down to close the distance, but I decided to keep the high ground for a few seconds longer, because they don't know where I am right now. And instantly I go to close the distance. I clock on immediately that there are only 2 doors that they're going to go in and out of, because more often than not, players are actually scared to go into the zone, and as you can see there, I peek the windows. It's always important to make sure you peek windows and see if you can get some easy shots off through the window. Now, I do dive into the zone quickly. As I've got the gold shield, I know I can get some syringes off. Luckily, my teammate damaged the octane quite a lot for me, and they weren't expecting me to come in from behind, and as I managed to get some damage off on him, I know I can go in and finish him with the Mastiff, which is more often than not a reliable close range gun. And there we have it. Me and this random teammate managed to get a pretty decent win. 14 kills. It's not, it's not the best you're going to see, but with that little, 4 or 5 minutes in the middle of the match where we had 3, 4, 5 teams pushing us all at once, I thought it was a really good show of decision making from myself, and I hope you guys can gain a little bit from it and try and improve that quick thinking, quick decision making, and it will improve your game so much more. So with all that being said, guys, I hope you did enjoy the video and I hope you gained something from it. I know it's a lot to take in very fast, so make sure you watch it 2 or 3 times if you can't take it all in at once. But with all that being said, guys, make sure you smash like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.